Yes, we're item number 3, discuss and possible action in hiring the following personnel: juvenile supervision officers. Number 1, Felipe Iniguez, Francisco Lozano, Jesus Ramirez, Jaime Garza, Raymond Lopez, Kenneth Ortiz. Yes, we're item number 3, discuss and possible action in hiring the following personnel: juvenile supervision officers.
I think
Number 1, Felipe Iniguez, Francisco Lozano, Jesus Ramirez,
somebody has
Jaime Garza, Raymond Lopez, Kenneth Ortiz. Yes, we're
I think that's you, Judge Paloma. Thank you. Go ahead.
Miguel Villa, Andrés Chapa, Gabriela Arámbula, and Julieta Palacios.
You are hiring all of those?
Yes, Judge. We had 10 vacancies. I believe Mr. Liendo wrote in the memo all the vacancies that we had and the different reasons why we had so many vacancies.
So moved for all the vacant vacancies. My gosh.
I'll second it.
Well, if I can, just point of a discussion, not that I have any problem with, obviously, how long have all these slots been vacant?
Well, they've been vacant at different points, but we've accumulated all those vacancies, and I don't know if you see the explanation there, but we had several employees leave to different agencies, like we always have. We usually lose them to the other detention centers that start, at a higher pay.
This is for supervision officers only, right?
Yes, which is our detention officers in detention.
Okay, they're not like the probation officers.
No, they're not the probation officers.
All right, thank you. There's a motion, a second, to approve the hiring of the juvenile supervision officers as recommended by the Chief Juvenile Probation Officer, Mr. Liendo, and his staff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3B. Now we can go, Ms. Rodriguez. I think you have.
I think I do. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Good morning, and I apologize.
Morning.
It just threw me out. Control room technician, there was one of them, Christopher Nenke. Number 4, communication items.
Hold on a second. So 3A, you are recommending the hiring of Christopher Nenke.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that there you only had one position open, and you had okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion on the recommendation to hire Christopher Nenke as Assistant Chief Mary Rodriguez as advises that was a recommendation from the Chief Probation Officer, Mr. Liendo, and his staff.
So moved.
Motion made by Judge Knotson.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Judge Tijerina. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Number 4, communication items, Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes, sir. Chief Liendo wanted me to also advise in reference to the COVID. There's 2 juvenile probation officers out, and there's only 1 detention officer, which they should be coming in, I believe, by next week. He also wanted me to mention that detention is going through an audit right now. They began on the January the 4th, and it'll end at the this month, by the end of this month. So he'll have a report for next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez.
There's also one more, the fire suspension system. They've been working on it. He also he wanted for me to say that to thank Judge Tano Tijerina and Lalo Uribe, which they were very helpful, because when the water started again streaming out, he called them and they act on it. So everything is getting fixed.
Thank you. Anything else on communications, Ms. Rodriguez?
No, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for the first quick action when needed down there. Thank you, facilities people, for that as well. Thank you. Okay, that is all. Anybody have any other questions before we entertain adjourning the meeting? Very well. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made to adjourn the meeting. Second.
Second.
and seconded by Judge Tijerina. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Good to see you. Is that a new SUV I see out there in your spot?
It's actually my wife's old one. I get the hand-me-downs.
Join the club. Join the club.
I get the hand-me-downs. All right. God bless you guys. Monica, love you. Been praying for you.
Thank you, Judge. Be safe.
Okay, thank you, Judge Paloma. That's all the juvenile board.
I can take up probation.
Oh,
Judge.
okay,
He's having trouble with the audio. They're coming to fix it.
okay. I think Judge Paloma wants me to continue the meeting, so let me go ahead and see, let's see what else we not do. We can do let's not do probation because Judge Paloma's not believing. Oh, no, Judge, you can do probation. Go ahead, Judge.
Right, and it's only communication, so we can get it out of the way. Judge Palomo, if that's okay with you.
Yes, I think she's trouble with audio, so we're gonna get her back on in a minute.
Probation office on, I'd like to call our regular meeting of the Webb County Community Supervisions and Corrections Department to order. First item on the agenda is discussion and possible action to approve the board meeting minutes of January 5th. And on January 5th, other than appointing me as chair, the only other thing was reports and communications. For a motion to approve?
I so move.
All right, Judge Hale made a motion. Can I get a second to approve the minutes? Judge Lopez, Judge Palomo, did they get kicked out?
No, Judge, I think Judge Palomo's trying to fix the double audio that she hears.
Okay, Judge Lopez, Judge Palomo? Oh, I can't do anything without them. Judge Lopez, Judge Palomo? I'm just asking for a second. Hello.
Sorry, Judge, second.
Thank you. All right, minutes approved. Next item is communications. All right, probation, you're ready? Mr. Sedna, you're going to be handling it, correct? Mr. Sedna, I can't hear you. Are you handling the communications?
Yes, can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Good morning. This morning we only have our monthly report, which is our collection report. This month we were a little bit low on our collections. It was a slow month this month, but we have plans. We already made some arrangements also with CJET on how to improve our collections. I know some might be due to the statute, the new statute on collections, but we should be good this month, coming month. On our reports on the programs, our numbers are going up in our programs. Little by little, we've been having more placements as well. So I would want to thank the court for that. But we're doing pretty much good with the numbers in all of our programs.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the report? You should have all received a copy of it.
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Sedna.
No problem.
No questions.
Right, well, it looks like that's all we have for probation. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss, Mr. Sedna?
No, unless you have some questions for me.
It doesn't look like you have anything. Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Motion by Judge Palomo, is there a second to adjourn probation?
I'll second.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
You know when they fix my computer. Okay.
Have pretrial services, Judge Lopez, which is yours. And we also have auditors, which is also yours.
All right, let's go ahead and get the pretrial services meeting called to order, Judge. And once again, just to make sure that we know who's here, we have Judge Knotson, Judge Palomo, Judge Hale, and obviously Judge Martinez is out with his COVID protocols and recovering. And we have Ms. Hernandez here from his office, Judge Villarreal. I know I see Cecia, his administrator. I don't see Judge Villarreal. So he is not present. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the approval of the minutes of the January 2022 meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
I'll
There's a
second.
motion. Did you second, Judge?
Seconded, yes.
Yes. There's a motion made by Judge Palomo and seconded by Judge Dodson to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Open up communications item number 3, and I'll call on our director, Mr. Mickley, for the monthly supervision reports. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Cordell Mickley, Pretrial
morning.
Services. On number 3, communications, letter A and B, I'll take that simultaneously. I submitted this report to all the board members yesterday, and there is a copy on the screen right now of the agenda. Will you scroll down a little bit, please? Jennifer, would you scroll down, please? Just a second, please. Thank you. There you go. Okay. You can see the monthly report of supervision reports of the people that are ordered or released through pretrial services. If I remember correctly, if I can think back to the tenure I've had with this office, as you can see there, that first number 26, there were 26 individuals that were released and placed on supervision through pretrial services. And I think that's the most we've ever had in 1 month. Would you scroll down another page, please, Jennifer? The next page will be the service fee, the bond fees we collect as well. Since my tenure here with pretrial services, I mean, I've been here for about 17 years, I believe. And this has been the most that our office has collected as well, $21,987.50. So right now, according to the auditor's report, we're at 50% collection rate, which is right on point. And that goes to all the courts that are entrusted in our office to supervise these people, and we greatly appreciate that. The county does, and our officers do as well.
Thank you, sir. So
Yeah, that is all.
All right. So then, so did that cover 3B as well, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions for our pretrial services? So we will be getting together with you, Mr. Mickley, Judge Garcia, and I, with regard to some of the new bonding laws that have come into play here in 2022. So make sure that we are on top of that, and that whatever we need to modify in our system, that gets modified timely. So thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
One more comment here, if I may, please.
Yes,
I'm going to speak about our weekend process, our weekend employee. As you know, we hired a part-time weekend employee, which this weekend we are going to release on her own. She's been reporting there on the weekends, but we've had an experienced officer with her, just guiding her as well. So this weekend she's going to be out there on her own, and we would like to, if there's any hiccups or something, just please be patient. We'll have somebody on call on the weekend. If she has any hiccups on the way, we'll be taking care of that.
You know, Judge Garcia is aware of that as well, and he's extremely helpful with that team of yours. I think that he works really good with them, and both Judge Martinez and Judge Garcia are both well aware of what's going on with regard to that, and they will be working alongside the training and whatnot that needs to occur as the weeks unfold. Thank you, Mr. Mickley.
Thank you. May I be excused?
You are excused. Make motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I second.
There's a motion made by Judge Palomo and seconded by Judge Natson. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, y'all.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I just joined and I don't know if the purchasing board has already met.
It has not, Judge.
We haven't.
Commissioner.
Commissioner, we haven't called that meeting yet.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry for the tardiness.
So we have, aside from administrative meeting, we still have the purchasing and the auditors.
We could do purchasing it, whatever you want to do.
Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and call the purchasing department's meeting to order. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Who are the members of the purchasing board?
It's the three commissioners, 2 commissioners and 3 district court judges. I believe it's from the district courts. I think Judge Natson is not on.
I'm not on it.
So, okay, so I'm present, Judge Lopez is present, Judge Hill is present, Commissioner Galo is present, and who are the other 2 commissioners?
There's one.
No, just Commissioner Gonzalez.
Okay, is Commissioner Gonzalez present?
I don't believe he's present. Thank you.
And he does get the email invites, right?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay.
The entire board does.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. The third item on the agenda is approval of the minutes dated January 5th, 2022. Mr. Lopez circulated those. If you've had an opportunity to review it, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Let's see. If I get this right one, February 2nd. Here it is.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I second the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Minutes approved. Fourth item on the agenda, discussion and possible action to appoint a new chair for the Webb County Purchasing Board and any other matters incident thereto. So it's been an honor to serve as chair of the Purchasing Board and working with Mr. Joe Lopez. And I think I've been the chair for 3 years, Mr. Lopez?
Probably 4.
Roughly,
Probably
Judge.
4.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I'd like to have a Judge Hale, nominate Judge Hale to chair that board, Judge Palomo.
I second the motion. Judge Hale, do you accept the nomination?
I'll accept it. Thank you.
Okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Any further discussion? Motion carries.
You pay him $100K.
It's your meeting, Judge.
Hey,
yeah, thank you. Thank you all for
Well, he had no authority over the sheriff or over the valley. They could hire him the next day.
Somebody mute Lalo.
And then where are you?
Let me mute.
Mr. Uribe.
Probably can't prohibit him from ever applying, to the county for a job again.
One of the offers was that.
But I don't.
I can't see them from here. So
I can't see him because
who's your host?
I am. And that will change next month.
So you're kind of screwed.
So Mr. Lalo Uribe, can you please mute your device?
Or the sheriff. And even one of those guys will do it. For sure. Just to show. For sure.
Judge, I just called their office. They're going to inform him right now.
Thank you.
Okay, so, right. Again, thank you all for appointing me as a chair. I don't think I've been the chair of the committee before, so I appreciate the. Okay, we haven't.
I muted Mr. Uribe. I don't know who it is now.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yes. Communications, Mr. Lopez, what do we have under communications? We have a presentation of the reports, anything else?
Yes, good morning, judges and Commissioner Joe Lopez for the record, the Webb County Purchasing Agent. We'll start off with the monthly reports on the purchase order activity. Can you all see the screen, judges, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Just want to make sure. So from the previous report, we've approved an additional 459 purchase orders. So we're now up to 2287. And but the number of purchase orders that are still open as of today have dropped by 10 at 790. That also dropped the remaining balance on the open POs for the current fiscal year by 548,000. So you'll see the total balance there of 5.4 million. And
Judge, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Judge OJ now.
Yes. Force of habit.
Motion to waive the report unless anybody has any questions.
To waive the entire reports?
Yeah, unless anybody has any questions on it. I've glanced through it, and so I didn't know. I don't like rehashing the same thing unless you have questions on it.
Well, the thing is that
Unless, if you all haven't seen it, then go ahead. If you all haven't seen it.
I think that the thing about it is, Judge Commissioner, and I get you, is just that this is probably like the second or third time that you've heard it, and
that's fine. Like I said, if you all haven't seen it, go ahead.
We get to hear it for the first time.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess, and I guess you can highlight what you think you need to highlight, Mr. Lopez. That's what you usually do.
I'll be brief, Judge.
Go ahead.
So moving on, and just to report to the board on the number of POs that are still open from last fiscal years at 119, they did drop by 18, and that dropped by $1.3 million. So you see the new balance of 10 million. Let me go ahead and move on to the next slide here. This is a breakdown of what I just spoke about. The previous, these are the POs that exceed 100,000 from the 119 that are still open. It's pretty much the same picture as last time. There are a few contractors that were exceeding $100,000 in a balance in their PO that are no longer, and they're still open, but they're no longer here being reported, since I'm only focusing on the ones exceeding 100,000. So that's what it looks like right now, and 90% of that is the $9 million of what's open. Moving on to the agenda report, and I'll just point out, I won't go through all of them, I'll just point out a couple here. The one I did want to point out is the court had authorized me to go ahead and move forward and replace 68 vehicles that had met the criteria that have either exceeded 90,000 miles or are 10 years or older, and in some cases it's a combination of both. As of today, 48 vehicles out of the 68 have been ordered. I'm at a standstill right now because some of these vehicles, orders, the auto industry has not opened up the orders yet, but as they come available, I will be moving forward with those orders. And then the other thing I wanted to point out on this,
Mr. Lopez.
Monday. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Again, I just wanted to follow up on that. How bad a lead time or big a lead time do you need, or are you seeing for us to, I guess, to fulfill those orders? Do you suggest any modification, maybe lowering it because of the lead time, like the mileage, because it's taking you, 9 months, 12 months to get a vehicle versus 3 months,
Yes, sir.
Do you see any need for a modification?
Well, I think at this point, the criteria that we have now is it suffices. I think we're pretty much at the tail end of replacing almost all the very old vehicles. I will tell you that the lead time is a concern, but it's really out of our control. We're looking at about, in some cases, it might be 4 months when they start delivering, but it could be up to 6 months. There's a major shortage with the microchips and other delays in the auto industry right now. The only
what about like police vehicles? Then not only the vehicle, but then you have to have the accessories put on. Those are, I know sometimes taking up to a year. So.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Commissioner, I'm glad you bring that up because I do need to be approaching the court. Maybe not the next meeting, but next couple of meetings. I'm working with an outfitter out of Houston who was recommended by the Federal Signal rep for the state of Texas. And we're already sitting down with them to start putting together some pricing for the different packages, because I do need to return to the court and present the figures for the equipment that will need to be ordered. And like we've done in the past, possibly we may have to also finance the equipment. And the equipment I'm not too concerned about. I think that'll probably arrive prior to the vehicles being delivered to the outfitter. But I will be addressing that with Commissioner Scortzer.
Okay, well, if you just be cognizant of the time frames, and like I said, we need to lower our criteria, you know, instead of 90,000 miles, say 75,000 miles, because it's taking so long until we get caught up, you know.
I understand, sir.
Vehicles here, you know, just-
So-
just- if you have any suggestions, please give them to us.
Yes, sir, will do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And then the last thing on this page that I wanted to point out, the court also approved the finance agreement to fund the 3 refuse trucks for the Road and Bridge Department. And I will let you all know that that's still pending execution of the agreement. Once the agreement is executed, I'm looking at about 3 to 5 days to get that money wired in. Once we get the money in and it's allocated to the funds, I can go ahead and order those trucks. Unfortunately, those 3 refuse trucks, we're also looking at about a 350-day lead time. So the sooner I can get those, the sooner we can get moving on that order. But it'll be at least a year before we get them.
Anything else, sir? You need to highlight?
No, I'll go ahead and just real quick on the solicitation report, it's the same picture as before, as a prior month. The difference is that it was still open. We've already closed. The court has awarded Anderson Columbia, who was the low bidder on all 4 overlay projects. We're pending execution of the agreement. Once the agreements are ready, I'll go ahead and issue the purchase orders for the awarded sums.
I had a question on, Judge, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I had a question on, and I'm not sure if I missed it or from another presentation that you may have given us. Was there supposed to be another renovation contract that was given? No, not renovation, but I don't know if it was called repair or renovation.
The modernization, sir?
On the golf course. Is there something pending there that is gonna get started or?
Yes, Judge, and as a matter of fact, I do have it mentioned here in the report. So the most recent activity on the golf course is they had, the court hired Able City to design some improvements the court had requested that included improvements to the patio, the outside patio.
So they hired the designer to look at that, basically.
Right, and as a matter of fact, I think it was yesterday or the day before, the architect sat down with the engineer, with the folks over at Golf, and they were rehashing the original design because they did present it to court and the numbers came in too high over budget. So they're working on that too.
Okay.
Maybe just some of that work in-house.
The other thing I want to ask you about was.
If I could, Judge, I just want to expand on that.
Yes, sir.
You know, we gave a $250,000 budget. They came in, we told them basically what we would like, but we said, you know, here's the money. They came in with a $600,000 budget. So, I mean, we pretty much chastised them, saying, you know, you all don't even consider what, you know, the finances are, and you all just you know, drawing up what you want to draw, and we're saying, no, you know, we have constraints. We understand that, you know, the thing moves because of construction prices and things like that, but, you know, to come in at $600,000 was just absolutely ridiculous, you know. And $140,000 for a covered area on the driving range would probably be done in-house for 20, you know. So it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
So the contract was, I mean, the thing was disavowed. We told them, go back. We have constraints. You need to stay within the constraints and tell us what we can do within the constraints. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other thing, maybe now that you're on, Commissioner, you can also alleviate some concerns that some folks may have. If you play at the golf course, you'll see that on the east end of the golf course boundary line, you'll see a whole bunch of stakes all over the golf course fairways, and some berms and some berms and some probably even some greens. Maybe not the greens, but berms around the green. Is there a staking out going on already from TxDOT with regard to that area that they plan to take, or that they?
Judge.
I'm sorry, the question was what?
Judge Hill.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
May I be recognized? I know I'm not a part of the board, but I just would like to help answer some of these questions.
Yes, sir.
The answer, Judge Lopez, is absolutely. Those stakes are already. That's what TxDOT was going to do. Go ahead and start doing for the loop. Yes, sir. Going back to this golf course whole situation that Commissioner Gala was talking about. Yesterday, they kind of went over some of the numbers in-house. And in-house, we're only gonna spend no more than $30,000. So it went from the astronomical amount that we're talking about right now, whatever it was, and it looks
141.
like, excuse me?
141.
141,000.
Okay, it went from 141,000 in-house. We're gonna do it for no more than 30,000, and I think about 18 of that is pretty much materials. So it kind of gives you all an idea.
Very good.
Thank you, Judge.
Very
Thank
good. So is there a
All that
time?
east side is gonna be condemned. It's a very complicated process. We are having to hire architects. They're not to reimburse us for architects to redesign the golf course. And then I guess that's gonna be included as part of the damages, which we have to submit to them. But yeah, there's gonna be that the whole irrigation system is gonna be knocked out. That whole, the lake that's closest to the loop there, where the pumps come into. So that's gonna have to be done beforehand to make sure that we never lose irrigation, you know?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I was wondering how far along that was, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on that? If not, Mr. Lopez, anything else you want to add?
Judge, unless the board has other questions, that concludes my report.
All right. And anything else before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Anything else under communication? No, from anyone else?
If I may, Judge, I just wanted to express my sincerest condolences to Judge Knudsen on her father. He passed today. I got sick, and my favorite deal. And again, we are truly sorry.
you,
Not
Judge.
all of us got
I mean,
sick.
thank you,
We're not
Commissioner.
able to attend, and I didn't even know he was sick. You know, it just came as such a shock to our family. But again, our prayers and sympathies are with you
No,
all.
we didn't know he was sick either. So thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Loved,
That's all I have.
he loved
All right.
Anna and you very much.
He was special.
Yes, he was. Make me cry.
Me too. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
Yes, sir. Motion to adjourn.
I second.
In a second, all in favor, say aye. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have the auditors and administrative judge. You want to take care of the auditors first?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, I will. Yes, Judge. I'm gonna call the Auditors Board meeting to order. And all of our members are present and we have quorum. The approval of the January 5th, 2022 meeting is the first item on the agenda. I'll entertain the motion.
I so move.
I'll second.
There's a motion and second to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 3, the auditor's monthly report, and I'll turn it over to our favorite county auditor, Mr. Perez. Thank you, sir. Come.
Good morning, Honorable Judge, members of the board. We delivered our report, January 2022, representing 33%. Yesterday afternoon, I did provide an insert for your review, and I'll go through the report with the highlighted areas. Of course, these are unaudited as of January, representing again the 33%. And the first ad valorem fund is a general fund on page 3, and we show the actual revenues exceeding expenditures, 22,219,817. The next ad valorem fund is the road and bridge on page 5. That one also shows revenues over expenditures, 829,791. And the final ad valorem fund is debt service on page 7. That's $4,440,683. Later on, I'll highlight a differential that we have on page 7 compared to the actual page 48 and 49. The expenditures that were reported on page 7 of $1,863,465, but I'll cover that as I go through the report. Moving on to the enterprise funds, on page 13, operating revenues is $325,476, and this is through December. So this would be December's, and operating expenditures, $413,663, giving us a operating loss of $88,186. Just to point out, in the insert that I did mention earlier, I'm providing the current month change, the previous month, and the year to date. So for the golf course, the operating loss was $553,000. But once we put in all our other transfers or sources and uses, we do end up with a surplus of $4,692. The next enterprise is on page 17, the water utility. That one has also, as of December, $446,626. Expenditures, operating expenditures, $639,560, giving us an operating loss of $192,934. Again, the general fund is contributing sources, and there are uses representing the debt payment, but we do end up with a surplus of $28,020. Moving on to the internal service funds on page 21, the employee retiree, that one has a surplus of $852,721. The next internal service fund is the workers' compensation. That one also shows a surplus of $304,061. And the final one is the employee retiree on page 25. And that one shows operating expenses over revenue, $7,731. And it's being offset by the fund balance on the previous page. So there is no problem to report. Moving on to page 30 and 31, we're required to comply with governmental accounting standards, specifically as we're presenting our financials to the independent auditors for audit. And we implemented GASB 84, which is reporting for fiduciary activities. In the past, we would only show assets and liabilities and no changes in those funds, which now we have to do or require. And so now we have an equity. So on the next page is a new statement that I'm required to report. Well, I'll show additions and deductions. Just to, and we're undergoing the audit right now. Sometime in October, actually, it's actually in December, we won't know the results of the audit until later. The next significant thing that I want to point out is the fund equity changes, and starts on page 32. I do want to point out, based on other reporting requirements, we started to segregate funds that are reported with the general fund for our audit, and we have it listed there. In addition to the general fund, we have all these other funds that we combine when we do our audited financial statements. Page 32, I also want to emphasize a grant, two grants. 2363 is a grant, CAP and American Rescue Plan Act. And the other fund is 2368, which is a community service block grant. Those are pending timesheets. And once we get the timesheets for November, December, we should be okay for billing these activities, because we do have a a significant draw on our general bank account. On the next page, 33, I am highlighting also the El Aguila Rural Transportation, which is Fund 2661. And that one is also pending billings, pending the review of the billings. I'm starting to highlight. I didn't have that much of an occasion to highlight grants, but I'm starting to do that, especially if they're in arrears more than 60, 90 days. That's the reason to start doing this. On the next page, page 34, it's part of the new reporting requirement, which are the custodial funds. And I should mention, by the pure nature of custodial funds, we're holding money for other people. And so listed are all these custodial funds, and therefore your review. Of course, the Regional Mobility Authority is one, the county clerk, district clerk, particularly the tax office when we're holding money for the other entities that we're collecting for, and motor vehicle. So they're various for your review, and it's something that we're going to start review or reporting to comply with the new reporting requirement. Let's see. I'm going to move on to the bank reconciliations. And the one that I want to highlight is on page 37, which is the clearing account for the tax assessor. The tax assessor, Treasury, and ourselves are working to identify the reason for the cash deficit in a custodial account. And we've had these situations once before. It got addressed, and it has happened again, and we just need to get to the bottom so we can clear this deficit. Of course, this is the bank account that does all the collections for all the transactions for the tax assessor. So we are working on this item in conjunction with the tax office and Treasury. Page 39, I do want to cover this. I covered it very lightly in my previous report concerning new type of investments for Fargo Wealth. The treasurer did ask for assistance back in November, and we have been reviewing the various pronouncements. Governmental Accounting Standards Board 31, representing investments, the standard number 40 for disclosure, and the standard 72, which is for the fair market. And the fair market comes into play with these securities. And the securities that were acquired by Treasury are U.S. Treasury securities, U.S. government bonds, and municipal bonds. Going through this very lengthy exercise in my office and with staff, we've identified new accounts that need to be reported by the investment type. And so we're reporting, we're segregating the interest, the accrued interest for these transactions, the investments for these transactions also, the interest income, and the unrealized gain that we have to report on year end. As you can notice, we have the maturity for 2023, 24, 25, and some for 26. At year end, we have to tie to the fair value. And so that would be where the transaction will either report a gain or loss on the disposition. But in the interim, we're going to have to be reporting the unrealized gain or the unrealized loss. It was a lengthy process, but we've already had a meeting with Treasury, and they were very receptive to the new accounts, and we will still follow up with them. I should mention also, in our review, we did contact Treasury, specifically the staff, in reference to The investments right now, it's lump sum in total, but there is a cash that is being held by the broker that needs to be segregated. So that's another item that we need to report. Of course, ever since the beginning in 91, we want to have the least number of journal entries proposed by the independent auditors. And so I want to make sure that our office has implemented those journal entries, and we just need to segregate that cash that's within the broker and not be identified by the external auditors that we need to do this entry. Moving on. Let's see. I am moving on to page 42 through 45. And the reason is on page 44, and this particular report is the bank account, the receipts and disbursements. There are some funds that only have one bank account, and then there are some funds that have various. And what I want to point out, on page 44, we do have two grants, which is on page 44 again, Fund 3523 and 3701. They have a significant draw on the general bank account also, and we're just pending to have the billings done on this particular one. On the next page, knowing that we only have one bank account for the tax assessor, and we're highlighting on page 45 the deficit for a bank account. Obviously, the point that I want to make, when you're holding money for somebody, it should be a zero at the end. But because transactions keep on coming in, it should be a surplus. We should not have a negative in these custodial accounts unless the particular circumstances are identified to warrant that, and we haven't seen it yet. So that's why we're working with Treasury and the tax assessor on this. Moving on to the page 48, do want to point out that we have two new leases and the leases are for the golf course, having to do with carts and the GPS for the carts. Okay. Page.
Golf carts have GPS?
GPS, yes. And maybe Mr. Lopez can, some of these carts might go off the path, and I think they're going to be putting little monitors in the pathway so they won't go out.
They, if I could, I've been on them already. They have a GPS monitors similar to the way they have on most other golf courses nowadays, but they have the GPS monitors on the screen. They have screens, they have a GPS monitor. They tell you the distance to the hole, center of the hole, distance to the back of the green, front of the green. It actually tells you, depending on what you want to, it's it's a really nifty idea. And they did increase the fees. I think it was $4 or $5 for weekend play. And I guess they figured that would kind of cover for the cost of that type of stuff over the course of the long haul. But in any event, it's great. The only thing is that people in Casablanca are used to driving everywhere, and here the golf course restricts you from going into areas that are either under repair or allegedly under repair, and so they need to leave the golf course and walk, sometimes far off, to be able to get to their ball. So it takes a little getting used to, but it's an excellent upgrade to the particular system, and it's more upgrades that are happening to the golf course. Of course, as all that happens, golfers expect that they will pay more money for their play, and as the quality of their play gets better. So maybe not the quality of their play, pardon, the quality of their play area. The
Their
quality of the play, it is what it is with regard to what your swing is, right?
Mine is a slice and everything. Moving on to the jail. The revenues are at 48%. We should be at 32, so they're doing very well. On the expenditures, they are below, so they're at 33. Moving on to the sales tax, we don't have January, but we do have the surplus at 810,938. On the next page, 55, is the what I like to call like a mini operating statement for the general fund. And again, the revenues are at 50% and expenditures are at 30. So we're working below the 33, the 3% below. I do want to highlight again the amended budget or the adopted is the same. We're 8,139,000 expenses or revenue, and we'll keep on reporting on this item. Page 56 includes the individual departments on the revenue side. As mentioned before, the pretrial services is at 50%, and the road and bridge is at 39, and the debt service is at 51. I'm skipping over on the general fund, but you can review starting on page 57 all the way to 61, the individual departments that include personnel, fringe benefits, operating expenditures, and there might be some departments that have capital expenditures. For example, I just noted page 60 for the jail that included a line item for expenditures. And the summary of all the funds for the county are on page 62 through 64. And I didn't cover this in the general fund, but we do have encumbrances, at least 10 million are for capital projects. But on page 64, we do have 13,595,000 in encumbrances. And the last page I like to cover is the transfers in and out from the general fund, road and bridge, debt service, and the other three, the hotel motel, the courthouse security, and the JP. That hasn't changed. Mostly the change was in the general fund. That concludes my monthly report, Judge. I just have an item under communication. Unless there are any other questions.
No questions. You're on mute, Judge.
Any other questions on the monthly report? If not, we'll move to item number 4. Mr. Perez.
Yes, sir, and members of the board. I did have 2 accountants go to the federal government as auditors. Always very happy for my staff that does go beyond our office for a better job. And so we did do some internal movement within our claims paid. And I do want to recognize 2 of the claims paid individuals that have moved on to a grant position and to a non-grant position. And that is Amy L. Capatillo and Mr. Jesse F. Gonzalez. And I included an insert to identify the years of service and their previous employment also. They do have BBAs in accounting, the minimum requirement that I do request for my office. And so just to mention the promotions that we did in our office.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next item, Judge, I'm very happy and members of the board that we got notified very late compared to previous years that we are the recipients of the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And so this is for the year 2020. And once the audit is concluded, will be submitted. The benefit of this is a lower interest rate for the county. So we might not bring money in. We're very cognizant about grant compliance, and it does benefit the interest rate that are being assessed when we do go out on bonds, and of course that we have to report as required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion made by Judge Hale, second by Judge Palomo to adjourn the meeting and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Okay, and the last meeting is the administrative Board of Judges meeting for the district judges. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Item number 2 is approval of the January 5th, 2022 board meeting minutes. Those were circulated. I hope you've had an opportunity to review them.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Minutes approved. And then item number 3, communications. Anyone has anything under communications? No? Okay, I wanted to let the judges know that this morning, the Webb County Bail Bond Board considered the chair position and they reappointed me. I'm not sure whether our board should consider whether or not I continue as the representative on the Bail Bond Board. I don't know if I should include it on this, if I should include it on this agenda.
You're doing a great job, Judge.
I think you're doing an excellent job. You continue there, Judge.
Okay.
I hereby nominate.
I'm gonna hold over then. Okay, I'll stay on. Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to make sure y'all were okay with it.
Judges, I just wanted to let you know that at least for me, I suspended live trials in February. So just based on the hospitalization rate in Webb County and the active cases, I just wanted to let you all know that I suspended my trials until March.
That's probably the direction that I'm going to, Judge. So I'll let them know here in the next few days.
I'm considering that. I'm not there yet. I have several pretrial calendars still scheduled. I'm going to see how many cases are left before I decide and notify the parties.
Yeah, I had some jury trials scheduled in January that were postponed, but I really don't think I have one for February, and I'm just not going to set one, I guess, at this point.
Right. I do have a Zoom civil trial set, but lately they haven't been too happy with going forward on Zoom either. So we'll see what they decide to do. But my live trials I postponed.
Okay, thank you for letting us know, Judge. I also wanted just to share with you that I've noticed regarding the Bail Bond Board forms, there's a 1716 affidavit that is filed with the district judges by some of the bonding companies requesting that they be taken off the bond when the defendant is in custody on an unrelated case. I think it's page 2 or 3 on that application requires the verification from the sheriff's office. And those forms are time sensitive. And I've rejected some of them. And the last page is the approval by the judge or the denial of the judge. And I just wanted to share with you, and I shared it with the Bail Bond Board this morning. Mr. Repin's going to reach out to the sheriff's office and to the bonding companies to just ensure that they understand that there's a timeliness issue. I received this month, I received several applications where the sheriff had verified that the defendant was in custody in late November and mid-December. And the form was barely coming to my desk for consideration, and I denied those. And I just wanted to share with you how I'm approaching those 1716 forms. I think it's important, and it's the responsibility of the bonding company to timely file those forms after the sheriff has verified that they are in custody. There's no point in that form coming to me 30 days later, even 3 weeks later, because then my staff has to confirm again whether or not he's still in custody. And I informed them today that at the 341st, I'm not going to be doing that. I just need the forms to be submitted timeliness. And so I wanted to share that with you in the event that you're encountering the same problem. The sheriff's office also wanted me to add something to the agenda. I had already filed it. It is the consideration of approving the resolution to support the 2022 Justice for Families grant application with the U.S. Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women by the Webb County Sheriff's Office. The last time we approved this, considered it and approved it, was on the 6th of December 2017. I have the resolution. I don't know if you all would like for me to read it, if we have to take official action, or if you'd like for me to just circulate it for signatures, since we've already approved it back in December 2017.
Circulated, I think.
Yeah,
I think, go ahead, I'm sorry. Judge.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I received a copy of it. I think we all may have received it. And from what I saw, there was really not a lot of change other than dates, perhaps. So yeah, I agree. We should just circulate it for signature unless someone, Judge Lopez, did you have a concern about it or a question?
No, let's just circulate it. I think we're all here today, so might be a good idea to get it done.
Sure, I'll do that. I'm signing on my section, and I'll start circulating it today. Okay, then, anything else under communications?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I second. Any further discussion? Meeting adjourned.
Yes,
Be
please.
safe, everyone. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.